here's all of our cables, right? So we're just gonna start pulling them off. Here we are again, WakeWorldParts.com. Today we're doing spark plugs and spark plug wires. The engine that we are working on today is an Ilmor GDI 6.2 liter. And as you know, it's very difficult to get into the back area of the manifold. I do hear a lot of people loosening the bolts for the manifold and bringing it down. It is a steel gasket, but once again, you run the risk of damaging it or creating an air gap. So I don't recommend it for the everyday person. I'm going to show you a way that I do it, and hopefully it helps you out. With the GDI, today we're going to be using spark plugs KT7168, 2 sets of these. Spark plug wires PL00385. Also, I always make sure to buy these packs. So we've got the dielectric grease, and we have the anti-seize. The nice thing about this is you can pick them up at AutoZone, O'Reilly's, or anywhere, or your auto parts store, and buy them in the packs. When you're done, you throw them away. When you buy the big old jug, it just makes a huge mess, and now you've got to figure out where to store it and how long you can store it for and how many hours are you really putting on your boat. But getting back into the spark plugs, today that's what we're gonna do. These are a little tricky, but we're gonna go ahead and show you a couple ways that I can do it out here in the field and get it done. Lastly, before we get started, I totally forgot to tell you, buy some spark plug puller boots. So this is the boot puller. This pulls the boot off. The nice thing about this is what's happening with these spark plug wires, and now why we have to change them with spark plugs, is that the boot will get stuck because the spark plug will sit all the way in here, but then when the tip gets stuck onto the spark plug, what happens is people are yanking on these and you're ripping off the inside. So what this does is it actually will grab it directly right there, and I'm pretty much right on the top of that connector, and then now when I pull it, I have a less chance of ripping that off and leaving it on the spark plug. So here we are inside the engine compartment. I always do this the same way. I'm in on the driver's side. I just start in the front. I do the easy first, and then I work my way to the hard. I always make sure to reuse the wire loom that's on the plugs because it just helps against heat protection and everything else. Okay, so there we go. There we go. So as I said, since I pulled it off right there, the connector's still in there, and this one can be replaced. So now what we want to do is make sure that we match up our wires, right? So here we go. Just make sure that I'm putting the same length wire onto the same one. Normally, once I'm done, I just throw them out of the boat so I don't mistake them and put on the wrong one. And then I slap them on basically the same way I took them off. Now, when you put these on, there's a line up here. I try to get it as close to that line as possible when putting it back on, but you'll also notice that you're going to hear a series of clicks. If you do not hear those clicks, you have not clicked on to the coil pack. So I don't know if we'll be able to hear it in the video, but we shall see. That's the click right there. So I got a double click out of it, and then I just make sure to confirm that I'm all the way up. From there, I haven't done the spark plugs yet because I'm going to do those last, because I want to show you guys a couple things I'm going to try to do to get into these ones that are behind here. So we're going to go into this next one here. Once again, I get my boot puller, pull it off, and saved it again. Normally you can kind of feel it come off in there if you broke it. And now what I want to do is match up my spark plug wires. This one is still easy to get to because I can still reach it right here. Another good thing to do too is I can still use my boot puller to put things back on. And there's the double click. 2 clicks, click, click. And now I guarantee it's all the way on. I'll just make sure I'm pushing it up to guarantee I go all the way on there. So now once again, that's 1, 2, or 1, 3, and then I'll go 5 and 7. Now this is where it starts to get trickier. It's 5 and 7. Now, as I said previously, I normally do spark plug, coil, spark plug, spark plug, coil, spark plug. But today I just want to demonstrate how to put these on. 5 and 7. So 5 and 7 have to come through the front here, through the oil filter. So I removed my oil fill line, or my old drain line, because it was right here. I'm going to pull off these two, feed them back inside there the same way I took them out, and then connect this to the coil pack. Back into position. Which really isn't that bad. Then normally what I would do is either grab my boot puller, or what you would need to do is take a long screwdriver and then I'm pushing on the bottom of the spark plug wire because this is long enough to reach. So as you can see, now that I put my screwdriver, which is long enough to go the back way, I was able to put pressure down at the bottom of the plug, pushing up on it from in the back, not stabbing it or jabbing it, and making sure that I got it on correctly, right? So now what you can do is you can take your screwdriver, put it below the boot, and help guide it up without stabbing it. There's one click. There's the other click. So we're all the way on, and then to show you the boot puller, you could have just taken your boot puller and just guarantee it's all the way up. So here we are with the final spark plug. As you can see too, I mean, really, I can pretty much get pretty close with my hand. I've already got the boot on there. Now I just need to guide it and help it on, but that's with my finger. I can take a flathead screwdriver and go this way through the oil filter. As well as what I'll do is, I don't want to poke the boot. All I'm doing is putting a little pressure on the boot with the screwdriver to guarantee that it does not fall off. So to give you another aerial view, what I did is I came here. I can pretty much touch that coil pack with my hand here, but if I couldn't, then what I would do is I would take my screwdriver here, and then I would take it, feed it this way through here, right? Come this way, and as you can see, it's right there. And then what I'll do is I'll take my screwdriver, I'll put just the tip of that screwdriver on the tip of this and just push the boot up without ripping it or doing anything. If you guys are worried, just get a flathead that you know is going to be your spark plug tool and dull the front end, right? I'm going to guarantee to seat this correctly. And I'm going to go this way now and push it on. Normally my head is right here because I get on top of this thing so that I can see this way. I put my light over on this side and then I look down right in here. Now I can put my screwdriver directly flat against the bottom of the boot. There's my 2 clicks and I'm 100% on. And all I did was take this long screwdriver, put it on the bottom of the boot, and push straight up. None of these am I poking or stabbing. The only time I used it one time was to show you that if the boot is barely on there, I can take the tip of this like that and then just kind of scoot it up a little bit so that way it doesn't fall off when you're going back to push it up. But as you saw, I just came in there, put it underneath, and pushed it up. I'm going to repeat that process for that side as well. Once again, I do the 2 easy ones first, come to that one, move my screwdriver in. As you can see, it's a decent sized screwdriver. I like this one because it's got a fatter head on it, so it's got more leverage to push up. These littler ones, you know, they're smaller head tips and you can't get enough surface area on the spark plug boot. So, you know, here's, let's say that's the spark plug boot. Now you can see I'm covering the whole thing. So this is a lot better to use. So we're back after a break. I had to take a little breather. Got a little hot. It's still hot. Summertime here, July. So we're going to go ahead and do the spark plugs now that we already did the spark plug wires, right? So because we've already removed all the spark plug wires, this is probably the trickiest one to get to because of these hoses. It doesn't give you a lot of room. If you have a swivel, you can use a swivel to basically help guide you in. Just make sure that when you're tightening it that the head is straight so that you do not crack the spark plug. So we've got that on there. Move these guys out of the way really quick. And this one, because the radiator, it's got a built-in cooling system, closed cooled system, it's a little trickier to get to this one. Thought I was done. Okay. So there we go. Now we're just going to go ahead and replace them with the same ones. And then normally what I'll do is take the anti-seize here, put it on just a little bit, and then take my finger and spread it across evenly. And then I have a rag in here, so we're going to wipe it on the rag right here and keep going. So now I'll take this, put it back in here. Even though this is a pain in the, this one's a pain in the butt. Also, my boot fell out of my spark plug socket, so I have to be careful I don't drop the plugs now. And then normally if you have a boot on there, if you pull off really quick, you can always see if you're if it's threaded in. So basically what I did is I just removed it a little bit to guarantee that I was threaded in there. As you can see, I'm in there. So now I've hit. So that is it. That's all I'm doing right there. Just that little torque. And I'm guaranteed that I'm in there all the way. You can also check that you're in by simply taking a flashlight, looking back in there, making sure you're seated correctly. If you want now, so you don't get confused, now is the time to put the boots on. Normally what I'll do is just go across the front like that. Actually, some manufacturers actually will ship their cables to you that way as well. Because I'm using my phone as my flashlight, it's actually creating shadows. I can't see anything. So I clicked on there. It's on there, but you can also use your boot puller. So I left really quick to grab my boot puller. So now you can use this to put it back on as well, just to guarantee that you've grabbed it and it's on there. That first one clicked on, but I'm gonna make sure all of mine are on. I love doing my job 100% because then I don't get a phone call while these customers are out on the lake. And I'm 100% on there. Go to the next one. I don't really need the swivel mount anymore. Put my anti-seize on, work it into the grooves. Wipe the excess off of my towel. Take my spark plug tool, put it in there, and as you can see, I didn't even have to look. It's just super easy this way, especially when I think about it by feel. The nice thing about doing it by feel instead of looking down in there is I know that I'm threading it in with my fingers and I'm not cross-threading anything internally, which will screw me up. If I just automatically put it in there and I think, oh, I'm gonna put this ratchet on it. So there we are, we're right there, and that's it. I'm tight. No over tightening, one hand up on the top, hand on the back, and then just a slight snug turn so that I'm not overdoing it. Take my dielectric grease, put it in the hole. Whoops, sorry. Put it in the hole. Find my spark plug. Push it right over the top. Take my boot puller. And there we go. I always pull on them too, because if you think you got it on there and you don't, or you think you got it on there and you don't, and you walk away from it, you're gonna get a misfire. So what I do is I pull back on it, because as you saw, I had to use these boot pullers to get them off. If they're clipped, they're not coming off. Now if I yank on it, yeah, maybe, but I mean, a snug pull and that's not coming off. So one of the tests I do for the techs that we work with is after they're done, I just come over here, pull on each one. If one pops off, automatically know they didn't do it. So that's how I do it. The other adjustment is looking at these lines on top of the coil pack for the plug wire. Some will get all the way up there, some will be really, really close. But if you've got a gap that big away from that line on this coil pack, it is not on. So you have to hear that double click, 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 every single time. Every one of these did it, all 8 of them, click, click. So we gotta make sure we hear that noise. I'm gonna go ahead, finish this up, and we'll be good to go.